Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Looks like the live stream is working. If anyone's watching, please let me know if the sound is coming through all right and if you can see what's going on the screen just fine. Okay. Wait a few more minutes before we get started proper. Nice. Thank you, Xavier CJ. Good to have you in the chat. Glad you could make it for the live stream. Live stream technically doesn't start till 10:30, but I'm always paranoid that something is going wrong with the stream. How's everybody doing? So, just a quick rundown of the stream for today. Oh, hey, Michael Grodel. Hey there, ready for the live stream. Michael Grodel, were you here on the last stream? Your name looks kind of familiar. Xavier CJ says, missed out the last one as I was just waking up while you were wrapping up. Yeah, that was my first stream. I got some advice from Aussie over on the Super Challenge Bros YouTube channel, or friends of the channel. He advised doing it in the morning because on Pacific time, that seems to work better for people on the East Coast of the US as well as people in Europe. So hopefully this is a better time for most everyone, because I think, as most people know in the Command & Conquer community, we have quite a lot of fans all over the world. We have a strong fandom in Germany, most of Europe, a good amount of South American fans, a lot of Russian and Eastern European fans as well. So I think with this fandom, maybe more than even others, you have to be a lot more aware of the varying time zones and how international this community is. Michael Grodel says, I was on the last stream. Yes. Great. Awesome. Good to have you back. All right. Just give you a quick little rundown of how this is going to work. I'm only going to be able to be on for about 2 hours. At around 12:30, I'm going to have to stop because I do have a prior commitment. There's a girl I have to see. But beyond that, we're just going to continue on with the campaign, hopefully finish out the Alien Saga and start the Vega portion of the missions. Hopefully we can get through most of that today. I'd like to get to Hammerfest in the next stream because that one is a lot of fun. And I had some people asking last time about how to beat that one. So let's go ahead and get started and see where we're at. All right, so where we left off last time was this mission capturing the technology center and securing the alien crash site. So that means the very next mission is going to be defending the alien crash site, which is one of my favorite missions from when I was a kid. Oh, hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Moving out. On my way.
Love the squishing sound.
Yes,
Come on.
sir. No problem. You got it. Yes, sir.
Let's just end the mission. Xavier CJ says, hopefully this is the right time for many as well. It's 1:30 a.m. here in Southeast Asia. Oh, dang, all the way from Southeast Asia. Glad you can make it, Xavier. Gosh, this might be my favorite cutscene in the entire game. When I was a kid, I used to make Command & Conquer units out of Lego, just trying to recreate all these cutscenes. Oh, we got someone new to the chat. We have Or Glesman, who says, yes, we can hear you. Good to have you on the stream. Xavier CJ says, oh boy, Hammerfest. He also says, Nod was somewhat of an annoyance after capturing the base. Indeed. Cabal Core, welcome back to the channel. Says, let's go. Michael Grodel says, I feel like it was easier to squish infantry in the 3D game, specifically generals. Yeah, no, it definitely was. There was a bit more leeway in what counts as running people over. Yeah, glad to have you, Zaber. Or Glesman says, I'm from Mishon, Lezion, Israel, by the way. Oh, wow, we got somebody from the Middle East here. See, this is what I'm talking about, guys. International audience. Good to have you here. What time is it over there, buddy? Alright, we're going to get started. By the way, I assume most of you guys are older than just doing my due diligence because I think my nephew sometimes watches my streams. This is rated T for teens. Don't blame me if you see certain things during the cutscenes and your parents walk in on you, okay? You've been warned.
From what we can tell, sir, the ship's been booby-trapped. Various C4 charges blew a sinkhole under the thing. It should have crumbled. It didn't even scratch. Sir, I know this may sound strange, but some of the men, they hear something inside. We get the feeling we're not alone here.
With all due respect, are we talking aliens here, sir?
The sooner we get inside that thing, the sooner we'll know what the hell we're talking about. And UFOs got secrets, man. Secrets came in my one share. Protect that crap at all costs.
Yeah, love the mission select screen. Israel, it is 2033, which I believe that's 8:30. Dang. It is an RA3, so you don't have to worry too much about parents walking in. Wow. Yeah, I don't know if I'll ever be able to do RA3 on stream. Oh boy. Michael Grodel, man, getting James Earl Jones to play General Solomon was an amazing idea. Heck yeah. Gosh, this was, as a kid, this was my first exposure to James Earl Jones and Michael Biehn. Two phenomenal actors that now, as I've become older and watching older movies, has been... It's so funny that for a lot of people, when sadly James Earl Jones passed away, people were like, oh, you know, rest in peace Darth Vader, rest in peace Mufasa, and I'm over here being like, rest in peace General James Solomon of the Global Defense Initiative. Alright, let's get started.
Be advised, the Brotherhood will attempt to destroy the impact site. GDI reinforcements are en route. Protect the site until they arrive.
Alright, here we go. Fix it. Okay, you guys should be good. There's not really anything I can do about repairing these things unless I go up there and get them. Oh, dang. I'm just gonna take the money while I'm at it. Why would you put your buildings right next to it? It's always funny to me as a kid that, like, my main base that I built in the last mission is not available for some reason here. Okay, well, that's just not fair with the lightning strike. Alright, let's build some more infantry. That's all part of. Okay, up, here we go. What the? Oh, what? Okay, well that wasn't in the original game. I'm sorry. Yeah, I think I mentioned this on the last stream, but I've always played this on easy level and never really got around to playing this on any higher difficulty since I played this primarily when I was a kid. So this is actually my first time playing on normal difficulty. I did not know. Oh my gosh. Okay. See, I always assumed that this game just upped the amount of enemy forces and or just sort of, you know, increase the health of the enemy like they did in Tiberian Dawn and Alert 1, but here they actually changed tactics, which is really cool. There we go. Alright. Or Glusman says in the chat, "Hey Snowman, after your last few videos, I just to say that it has got me a new subscriber. I just want to ask, did you do No Strings Prod CNC lore videos? Or did you see them?" It was forever I saw his last lore video. Yeah, before I started doing CNC on my channel, I used to watch No Strings Productions as well as the king, in my opinion, of CNC lore channels, Jathild, or however that's pronounced. I tried to make sure I was doing my own thing, though, and not really copying anybody. I think for the first video, the Tiberian Sun video, I was mostly just sort of saying off the cuff what I felt about the game. The Tiberian Wars video was definitely more structured, as well as all the future videos. And I don't really cover lore so much. I mean, the Tiberian Wars video was kind of covering lore, but it was also more about, like, my personal experience with the game. Like, I try to add more of my personal experience with the game as, like, a huge part of the videos I do. There we go. Although Jathild has just recently done his first sort of like personal thoughts video on what he thinks the future of the Command & Conquer franchise is, so go check that out. He has some interesting thoughts, especially regarding games like Renegade and the canceled FPS Tiberium. Do any of you guys remember the canceled FPS Tiberium? I remember seeing clips and trailers for that and thinking that was going to be the coolest thing ever, and then it was unceremoniously canceled. Oh, here we go.
Training.
Oh, here we go. Careful, I got a lot of disc throwers here. Oh, shrimp. Kill it first. Kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it. I got a lot of infantry here. There we go. Oh, tick tanks. Michael Gordo says, Tiberium was completely new to me. I don't remember it at all. Yeah, if you weren't there at the time, or if you weren't paying attention, sometimes it get missed. But it definitely looked really cool. Alright. Hold still for the cutscene. Nice. Yeah, it was Tiberium was gonna be like a squad-based kind of shooter where you could control and direct other infantry forces as well as autonomous titans, which just sounds really cool. And it was gonna focus on the story of the returning Skrin invasion. So, Marcus says, "Hello guys, good to see you streaming again, Mr. Snowman. I missed the last one." Oh, please, Marcus, Mr. Snowman is my father. Alright, good to see you guys in the stream. Again, just as a reminder, I will be ending around 12:30 because I have a prior commitment. So I can only go until then. I'm going to try and complete the Vega missions while I'm here, but we'll see. Inside the alien Skrin ship.
Stay alert, people. Just because the lights are off doesn't mean nobody's home. This is some crazy technology. In the genre?
Recording the holdings. Looks like Vegas boys cleaned it up.
Bad for a blunt. My name's Ina Don, and you better use it. Unless you want your head cut off. You don't. I can help you. I can help you find Vega.
Vega.
The Brotherhood holds our leader, Travis. Highly secret medical program south of here. We don't have the resources to break it up. But can't find Vega without us.
What should we trust you?
Unlike you blunts. Forgotten how to keep them on.
I have pinpointed the location of the non prison camp. An array of sensor towers has been installed around the perimeter.
Nika? Here's some budget assessment.
I find it hilarious that Umagon is like, oh, we can't break him out without, you know, your resources, GDI. But if you actually play the mission, it's just the three Forgotten that have to break him out, and GDI doesn't show up until afterwards. So, what do you mean you can't arrest? What do you mean you can't break Travis out without GDI resources? Are you smoking something? Are you smoking some of that sweet speed weed? Why is there a man who professionally goes by speed weed? All right, checking the chat. Cabal Core says a CNC mech game would be pretty awesome. Yes, it would. Yes, it would. I grew up playing Earth Siege and Earth Siege 2 back on MS-DOS. Not at the time it came out. It was my older brother's game, but I miss those times. Michael Grodel says, oh, that would be really nice. Xavier CJ says, I remembered seeing the Devil's Tongue, the hover MLRS destroying a bridge, and the Titan cutscenes from Sneak Peek and Red Alert 2, featuring behind-the-scenes footage and interviews of Tib's son. Whoa, really? Is that, like, in the menu for Red Alert 2? I have never seen that before. Alright, let's see what's what.
Tratos is being held in a hospital prison facility within this sector. Avoid detection and rescue Tratos from the facility. Once he is out, a transport will be sent in to evacuate him. Once Tratos is clear, destroy all Nod forces in the area to prevent further experimentation.
Gotcha.
A sensor net protects the valley where Tratos is being held. To facilitate his rescue, we must disable the array that controls this highly sensitive net. Once down, it will be much easier to get Tratos out of the valley.
That it would. Alright. Let's see. Yeah, I remember trying to beat the main mission without taking out the sensor net, and I could never figure it out as a kid. So we're going to do this one first, even though it is a fixed force mission. Welcome to Mexico, boys.
Establishing battlefield control. Stand by.
Let's see. I forgot to save each mission. I need to save that because I'm probably going to go back and get beef roll footage from this. And actually, I am recording all of this for the stream, so I should be fine. I can keep all this footage later. Agency of Snowman, yeah. Let's check the chat real quick. Sludge102, welcome to the chat. In Umagon's defense, without GDI's evac and subsequent assault, they would have been captured rather quickly. Yeah, that's a good point. Or Glisman says, Snowman, do you know the game Act of War Direct Action? It's a spiritual successor to CNC Generals from 2005, and it even has an FMV videos like the CNC game, and only those ones are more in a Tom Clancy style. Oh, interesting. No, I've never heard of it. When did it come out? Or is it about to come out? Is it a game that's in development? Xavier CJ says, yep, somewhere in the menu, I believe it was in movies. The other sneak peek I remember was Emperor Battle for Dune. I need to check that out. That sounds amazing. Cavalcor says, yeah, Xavier, I think I remember that. I can't believe I've been playing this game so long I never noticed.
Awaiting orders. Awaiting order. Clear. Yes, sir. Medic
Reinforcements have arrived.
infantry reporting.
Ah,
Yes, sir.
alright.
Sir, you got it. Awaiting order. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Awaiting order.
Alright. This is just going to be one of those missions where I have to use the medic very well, do a lot of micromanaging. I have a certain soft spot for these fixed force missions, I'm not going to lie, because of nostalgia, but I am... Let me put it this way. I'm not brokenhearted that they kind of faded out of the Command and Conquer campaigns as time went on. They could be very tedious. Xavier CJ says, just booted up RA2 to check law. It's under movies and credits, sneak peeks. Michael Gordo says, funny, I just opened RA2 to check as well. It's there all right. I should check that out.
Awaiting orders. Moving out. Yes, sir.
Oh, here we go.
Medic reporting. Yes, sir.
I don't know if you guys have also seen Vader's Fortress 2. It's another channel that does like lore stuff. Recently covered Command and Conquer, which I think is really cool because I feel like one thing that this game series has not got enough credit for, and I'll say it before and I'll say it again, is how interesting the lore is, the world building, especially of the Tiberian universe. I feel like not enough people give it credit for just kind of how amazing of a sci-fi world it is. Yeah, one Titan. Reinforcements have arrived. One Titan.
Yes, sir.
Don't worry, sir.
Yes, sir.
We took out all the stops to help you. We sent an entire Titan.
Sir. Yeah.
Alright, Marcus says, for me, it's the opposite law. I hated them as a child. Give me the Sim City, build a big army, and destroy. Fair enough. Sludge102 says, is this the Steam or CNC-Net version? Also, are you playing at lower res for nostalgia, or like me, have a hard time seeing the tiny units, anything higher than 720? Both. Both, Sludge102, both. I've tried playing at the higher resolutions, and it's not the way I remember playing it, so it's just weird to me, and it feels too zoomed out, and I don't feel like I have enough control over the units. This is the Steam version, not the CNC-Net version. I do still have the discs, but it's just easier to play through Steam these days.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Or Glusman says, my introduction to RTS games are StarCraft, Age of Empires 2, Empire Earth, and Active War. Nice. All solid games. I grew up playing the very first Age of Empires, enjoyed that, and then Age of Empires 2 came out, enjoyed that even more. 3 is probably still my favorite, just because that time period in history is probably my favorite. I just love... Whoa! Gosh, no, no. God, I forgot about this part. Nope, nope, nope. Stay away from my medic. Always interesting how they always prioritize the medic. But yeah, no, I love the Age of Empires series. I probably want to do a video on those games as well at some point, just because they were such a big part of... It's probably a big reason why I'm so in love with history, is probably because of those games. Playing the Age of Empires 2 campaigns, like, what other kid knew who the heck Barbarossa was, if not playing through the Age of Empires 2 campaigns? You know what I'm saying? Michael Grodel says, I remember the first time I saw a Titan when I was playing the Nod campaign. Absolutely scared me. Yeah, it's funny how, like, they're really fun units in the GDI campaign, but it's a completely different ball game when you play against them as Nod. It's like coming across the whoa. Alright, I think my Titan can outrange this guy, so let's just... Xavier CJ says, for me, Red Alert 2, Age of Empires 2, Dune 2000. For the past 2 weeks, playing through Tib, Sun, and Firestorm for the first time on normal difficulty. I'm currently on Escape from Cabal. There we go. Nice. Yeah, I didn't play the Firestorm expansion until a little later because I didn't get it when it first came out. I actually wasn't super aware of it. Then I found an old disc, and that was amazing because it felt like I was finding brand new Tiberian Sun content for the first time. Interestingly enough, I did not grow up on StarCraft. I only recently started playing the StarCraft Remastered. I'm enjoying it, but it definitely is different from Command & Conquer. But I enjoy it more than other attempts to innovate in the RTS space that are a little too different from the formula. Orc Luzman says, also, forgot to say, I also played Age of Mythology. Yes! I didn't grow up playing Age of Mythology. My good friend, the D-Train, did. But, I was definitely excited about the remaster because the D-Train couldn't stop talking about how great the original game was. So, now I'm absolutely in love with it. I love mythology, especially Greek mythology. Norse mythology is probably my second favorite. And I played through that entire campaign. I played through all of the DLC. I regularly play skirmishes against the AI just for fun. Age of Mythology is my jam. Love that game. Sledge 102. Chat's making me feel old because my first RTS was Dune 2. I remember being shocked at the graphics and sound design of Tiberian Dawn. Dang! You got started with Dune 2? Respect, buddy. I tried playing that recently. If you remember, I released a video where I was talking about the RTS genre and Tempest Rising. So I had to play Dune 2 on DOSBox, basically for footage. And oh my gosh, it is crazy just how like little things like being able to do contextual clicking to attack just based off of what you're doing, instead of having to go to a menu, click it, then go back for move or attack. It was crazy seeing how far RTS has come, even for like the features that we take for granted now. So respect, buddy. Alright, let's see if we get this. Alright, I think we're doing a pretty good job keeping all our guys alive. Far better than I was when I was like 5. And that was on easy. Sky Vipers, welcome to the chat. I felt the same way when Not Artillery was throwing down long range. Hold on, what was that? Long range bombs in vanilla Tiberian Sun. Those shots never missed. Yeah, no, it reminds me of that scene from SpongeBob, if you remember, where they're doing the anchor throwing contest and it just keeps moving to land on the referee no matter how far he moves. That's what it felt like. It was totally unfair. Very fun if you were Nod. Very unfair if you weren't. Okay, I think... Did I miss? Yeah, I think we're supposed to go up here. What the... Nope. Not today. Oh, really? I thought there was a way up. I guess there isn't. I guess we gotta keep going to the right. Did I miss something? No, I didn't. Alright. Alright, go get him. Nope. There we go. Hit the infantry. Alright, Michael Rolo says, I mostly started out my RTS experience with Red Alert 1 and 2, and then Tib Dawn and Generals. Yeah, that's very similar to me, except I never played Tib Dawn until later in life. Red Alert 1 was my first RTS, and maybe even my first video game. Xavier CJ says, I remember playing Dune 2. Man, having to control one unit at a time was painful coming from Red Alert 2 and Tiberian Wars back in 2009. They did remaster Dune 2. I think they called it Dune 2000. They made it in like the Red Alert engine. You can still get it through CNCnet. The only downside is that there's no music because all of that has been copyrighted. And so it feels a little dead. But otherwise, a great way to play the game again if you're new. Marcus says, I started with StarCraft Age of Empires 1, so many hours of fun in my childhood. Dang, yeah. Gotta respect Age of Empires. Oh, here we go. Or Glusman says, my only problem with the Lore Fortress CNC lore videos are that he included the non-existent CNC4 in the video. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't finish the video, so I didn't know he got that far. But, yeah. I think I mentioned this before, but I love that on the CNC subreddit, everyone's just kind of agreed that CNC4 doesn't exist, and we just talk about it as though it was some fan fiction game or some cursed mod. Because it doesn't always happen. Whenever there's like a new piece of lore that like a good portion of the community doesn't like, usually there's like a divide in the fan base between those who like hate it and those who are like, it's not as bad, you guys are overreacting. Sort of like a Star Wars Last Jedi situation. But it delights me that with CNC4, the community as a whole has just completely unanimously agreed, nope, not my CNC. We're just going to pretend this doesn't exist. Oh, you just completely ignored me. Oh, okay, well. I keep forgetting they do this. I love that in lore, like, Nod has completely moved their infrastructure under the ground with both the Montauk and, like, several tunnels, so this is just completely on brand for Nod. Whereas GDI is always bringing in drop ships. Sludge102 says, I came from that video just now, actually. Now feeling old is just because of the release dates. I was a baby playing Dune 2. Brood War dominated my early high school free time. Yeah, I need to get into StarCraft. Marcus says, also, I remember playing a lot of lesser-known RTS from the time, like Dark Colony, KKND, Outpost 2, Divided Destiny. Interesting. Yeah, that era of PC gaming was honestly the best. So much experimentation, so many games. You would go into an aisle in Target, and there would just be all the big boxes, and you didn't know if a game was good or not. You looked for what one had the coolest artwork, and you went for it. Xavier CJ says, them not artillery. I'm glad they were nerfed in Firestorm. Yes. Not only were they nerfed, but they also gave GDI an alternative with their own artillery, with the Juggernaut. There we go. Let's freaking go. Sky Viper says, first RTS was Command & Conquer 64, followed by StarCraft 64. You can imagine how bad those controls were, lol. I then got into PC gaming after N64 console war with the PS2. Interesting. Yeah, I'm always curious about people who grew up playing CNC on the N64 or the PS1. Because I'm just like, back in those days, like, it's hard enough now to play RTS on console. I can't imagine doing it back then. Oh, shoot. Cyborgs. Oh, somebody's trying to shoot me. Are they just going to keep coming? Alright, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Got it.
Okay. Sludge102 says, my brother got Red Alert when it first came out, but it was the first time I actually beat it was years later when another brother bought it for me on the PlayStation. Nice. Yeah, my older brother was very much into Command & Conquer as well. My older sister was more the Age of Empires person, but I got into both. Sludge102 says, if CNC4 came out as CNC Arena like it was intended, I feel the community would have been a lot more charitable. Oh, absolutely. I remember seeing trailers for CNC Arena back in the day before it was changed. It looked really cool. I really liked the idea, and you know, EA is going to be EA. But that's an interesting what if. We are indeed in the wrong timeline. Or Glusman says, I still have the original disc of both Empire Earth 2 and Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri. They both still work on my computer without any real problem. Nice. Yeah, I went back and played the Empire Earths. They were cool for what they were. I probably would have to spend more time with it to really like get good at it. Very ambitious games. As far as Sid Meier's games, the only real games I played of that was, you know, Civilization 5 and 6. Played a lot of that with the D-Train. And then, did anybody remember Sid Meier's Gettysburg? Oh my gosh. I can't find that game anymore now, I think because of licensing issues, so it's kind of a pain to try and play now. But my gosh. That was such a fun game. Oh, shoot. Oh, that was bad. Oh, this is bad. Okay, I'm going to load back. I handled that poorly. Anyway, back to the chat. Michael Rodel says, I've played Red Alert Retaliation for PS1 before. It emulates perfectly on my Wii, surprisingly. Nice. Sky Viper says, I still have the original big box of Tiberian Sun, along with the official soundtrack CD jewel case. Tiberian Sun is one of my favorites. Oh my gosh, dude. I remember my older brother getting Tiberian Sun with the big box for Christmas years ago. Oh. What a time. What a time. I'm low-key jealous right now. Or Glusman says, hey, anybody here remember Metal Marines? Also, StarCraft was my brother game, and I played Civ 4 back in the days. Yeah. I'm a newer Civ fan. I didn't grow up playing those games, unfortunately. But I do love them for what they are. What's this? Oh, there must be a healing orb. Well, I don't really need... Well... Let's heal up our vehicles. You're perfectly healed, so you don't need to be here. Dang, I wish I could get up here. I don't know how to get through that gauntlet without losing everyone. There we go. Alright, let's try this again. I am interested to see, guys. Oh, here we go. Let's keep moving. Keep moving. That was better. Sledge102 says, I have bought CNC too many times, including copies bought for me, and I have had 6 copies of both Tib Donna and Red Alert 1. Dang, dude. Does that include or not include the 2 discs for both? Yeah, Jathild in his last video when he was talking about the future of the CNC franchise, he was kind of saying that one way to save it would be like not just focusing on RTS games, but basically finding ways to expand it into other genres, kind of like how Fallout did with Fallout 3 and 4 into the FPS genre, so like an FPS game, or even just something as simple as like, okay, fine, we're killing him. It's like other media. And I know we've had, like, the CNC 3 book, which I know has a mixed reception from the fans. But I think another interesting thing would be... I think we've always thought, like, a TV series would be kind of interesting, or a mini-series online or something, because I feel like the Tiberian Sun world especially, like, don't follow the game's campaign exactly, just like do a TV series about like one general or one soldier in the Tiberian Sun conflict and just follow them through the major events. I think that would be really cool. Or Guzman says, let's not forget Heroes 3. Sludge 102 says, does not DOS win 95 PSX, TFD, and Ultimate Collection on both Origin and Steam? Oh, okay, gotcha. Gotcha. That makes sense.
Awaiting orders.
Okay, I think that's everyone.
Sir.
All right, we're gonna have to do. Well, guys, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Unit pathing. Let's not all be idiots today. All right. I'm not even gonna deal with this thing. Oh, the music is so haunting. Xavier CJ says, if I'm not mistaken, there was a CNC comic which features CNC4 characters in terms of... Yes, I remember that. It was a motion comment. I watched it entirely because I was still very excited in the run-up to CNC4. And so I watched every bit of media. I read all of the database entries. I still had a lot of hype for that game, despite the change and everything. Like, I had a lot of high hopes for that game. Yes, another medic. Now our medics can heal themselves. Supermarket shelves. The medics heal themselves. Okay. Or Glusman says, Snowman, do you watch videos? I don't know who that is. Is that another CNC tuber, or is that something completely different? Xavier CJ says, I really like to imagine that the events that transpired in CNC4 take place after GDI's bad ending in Tib Wars. Yes! I believe I mentioned that in my Tib Wars video. YouTuber Sven van der Plank, I believe, posited that theory, and I really like that theory. Jethile mentioned it in his last video as well. I think it's really a theory that's taking up a lot of steam in the community right now, which is just the idea that, you know, if you go with Redmond Boyle's idea to drop the liquid Tiberian bomb, things get so bad that it leads to the CNC4 timeline, where they require the Tiberium control network to deal with the fallout. So I thought that was really interesting, and I think that makes a lot of sense to me. And that would make it easy to retcon it if EA ever felt like they should, but I don't think EA even thinks about this franchise, let alone how they would fix it. Michael Grodel says, been replaying Red Alert 3 Uprising recently, been having a blast, even though it's hilariously... Yeah, it is hilariously unbalanced, and I was bugged that there was no co-op or multiplayer in that game. I still haven't finished it. I need to finish that game. Sludge102 says, I pre-ordered CNC4, and the campaign left such a sour taste in my mouth that I hated the game despite having quite a bit of fun in its multiplayer. You know, honestly, Sludge, that is kind of my experience too. I hated how it handled the story, but despite myself, I couldn't help but have a lot of fun with the multiplayer. Like, I feel like if it wasn't a CNC game, it's actually not that bad of a game. I know Aussie over on the Super Challenge Bros channel has joked about doing a stream playing CNC4 multiplayer. If I did do that, I think D-Train mentioned, like, I should just pretend like it's a bad mod and, like, never acknowledge it as a CNC game. I think also D-Train mentioned, like, if we do a stream of CNC4, just it turns out to be a black screen because it doesn't exist. Whoa! No, 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 no! Ah, really? I hate it when that happens. Okay, there is this one up here. Maybe I should do that one first, get the reinforcements, and then come back. Ah, man, this game. This game. Fixed force missions. Alright, let me check the chat. Sky Vipers, in the bad ending in CNC3, the GLA workers never receive the shoes, upgrades, and generals. That's why the ending where the bomb isn't used is canon. Hilarious. Like what Rodel says, the GLA workers are the true heroes of the CNC franchise. They're not wrong. Nope, 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 nope. There's no need for that. Alright, just... We'll take out this place, and then we'll go back. Alright, let's go. Where'd the other medic go? Oh. Huh. Tunnel. Was there another spot over here that I missed? I feel like there's something I missed. Was there a way to go like up through this valley and then go through a tunnel? Oh, there's a back way. Huh. Oh, that might have been easier. Ah, whatever. Xavier CJ says, "Can I have some shoes? My hands have splinters. Can we not be living in peace?" Sky Viper says, "Does anyone know the unit stat change when a Tick Tank deploys? What happens with the ranged armor?" Yeah, I've always been curious about that as well. I was like, what is the advantage of deploying? Does it give it more armor? What happens when it undeploys? Does it lose that armor? Or Glusman says, "Noah Gervais is a guy that makes video game franchise retrospectives. He's considered to be one of the more interesting guys to do these kinds of videos, but his videos are long as heck." Gotcha. I will have to check those out. I assume he's done CNC videos. Also, when I'm done with, Tiberian Sun and maybe the Nod campaign, I might do some streams of other games. I know a lot of you guys are Fallout fans, like the original Fallout, so I might want to do that for fun. Oh, wait a minute. There we go. Gosh dang it. Every time. Alright. I don't think they have enough money to repair, so I'm just going to use my Titan here. Sludge says, it changes armor type from light to concrete. Huh. I wonder what that means in practice. Or Glusman says, no, but he did a StarCraft, Fallout, and Warcraft videos. Gotcha. I tried playing the old Warcraft games on DOSBox, but there was something wrong with like the frame rate, and it was chugging. I think I have to do something with the frames to get it to work on modern computers. Maybe I can find a tutorial online or something, because I would like to play those old games. Like, there's a lot of other games, like Total Annihilation and other stuff, that don't really interest me, but StarCraft and Warcraft do, and I would like to play through those again. Or play through those for the first time, since I didn't grow up playing those. But I'm curious from you guys, what do you guys feel the future of the franchise should be? Is there any ideas you guys have for what it would take to revive this franchise? I mean, honestly, I feel like the only realistic take is have it sold to somebody other than EA. Because that's what happened with the Commandos franchise. They were under Eidos for the longest time, and they owned the rights to the game. But then, finally, I believe it was Claymore Games. No, Calypso. Calypso was a publisher that bought the rights from Eidos, and that was finally like what it took to get a new game made. Now, granted, the CNC franchise is a lot more valuable than the Commandos franchise, so I can see why EA is not willing to let it go, even if they aren't doing anything with it. But that would be the ideal scenario for me, would be either another big publisher or even just like a smaller publisher with an indie studio that kind of, or a new studio to make the game that was really passionate about it. Because I have to do a video on the new Commandos game. I finished it recently, and my gosh, it's so good. Like, it is definitely possible for another studio with a lot of passion for the original games to make a worthy successor. So that would be my ideal scenario. Sludge says, it changes what its attacks are weak against. Example, it will take almost no damage from riflemen, reduced damage from titans. Interesting. The range, attack speed, and damage are unchanged. Okay, awesome. Thanks, Sludge. I've always wondered about that, and you finally answered that question for me. Michael Grodel says, I'll be honest, all I need is a Tiberian Sun RA2 remaster and a General remaster, and I can die happy. You know what? You're not wrong. Oh. It can't hit me. Nice. Marcus says, I wanted to ask you the same, Law. Do you know the YouTuber Jathild? He made a video some days ago talking about the future of the franchise. Yes, you might have missed that. I was just mentioning him. Yeah, I used to watch a lot of... Well, I still do. No Strings Productions and Jathild. And I think they're great. Jathild, to me, is kind of like the CNC YouTuber. He's probably my favorite. I think he just has really professional work, and I love how all of his talking about the units and the lore is just completely in universe. Alright, let's hope we don't die due to disc throwers killing each other. Sky Vipers giving a strong arm to Grodel. Or Glizman says, Fallout is fantasy story done in a sci-fi alternate history scenario. I mean, a lot of sci-fi is just fantasy with a sci-fi veneer, let's be real. Which I don't mind. One of my all-time favorite franchises is Star Wars, which is really just a fantasy world with a sci-fi veneer that happens to have space samurai and space westerns and all of that. So I'm not one really to get like, oh, that's not real sci-fi. It's like, well, yeah, but it's still fun. So, I mean, is there anything you consider to be real sci-fi that's very entertaining to you, Guzman? I'm curious. Classic Player 5 says, hello! Welcome, Classic Player 5. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good to have you on the stream. Almost Human. Oh, welcome to the stream. Greetings from Slovenia, Europe. And I agree with Jathild, no Joseph D. Kukan, no future. I can't imagine CNC without Kane. Yeah, welcome to the stream, Almost Human. Glad you could make it. Woo! Alright, that wasn't too painful. Yeah. Yeah, I think you could maybe get Joseph Kukan back for one more performance. I don't know if you told Joseph Kukan, hey, you're going to be back and we're going to be making several more games, I don't know if he'd be up for that. If you told him, hey, one last ride, I think he might be willing to do it. He does very much still love the community. I think that's where I slightly disagree with Jathild. I think Joseph would definitely come back if he knew it was people who loved it and we're going to do one last hurrah. And I think that's how you'd have to do it. I mean, CNC4 kind of had an interesting idea of, like, Kane leaves, and then there's still GDI and Nod on Earth. I think that's how you'd have to end it. You would have to give Kane a satisfying end where he either dies or goes off or what have you, but he has to exit the franchise on a good note. And then you could continue the story with just GDI and Nod. It wouldn't be the same, but I just would want more games in the Tiberian universe because I feel like that's such an interesting world, and I think there's other characters and storylines that you could follow that would still be really fascinating. I mean, Cabal. Cabal is the closest thing I could think of to a CNC villain that could have as much staying power as Kane. And I know technically that's cheating because Kane was hooked up to Cabal, but I still think you could make a CNC with an equally charismatic and interesting villain post Kane if you did it right. Do I think anybody currently in charge of the CNC franchise has the chops to do it right? No, absolutely not. Sky Viper says Tiberian Sun Warzone mod is incredible. If we get more S tier mods like this, we won't need any mainline games. Yeah, I've been playing through the Warzone mod. Definitely a lot of fun. Marcus says, anybody wants the missing remasters, and I'm here like, please take the CNC4 campaign as non-canon, GDI bad ending, and make a proper good ending for the CNC franchise. I would love that. I would love that. Give it to Petroglyph or someone else who's super passionate about it and has the skills to get it done. Marcus says, I really think they can bring Joseph for one last ride. Yep, I agree. Cabal Core says, you rang. Michael Gordle says, I definitely like Cabal to return in some way to the CNC series. Yes, I feel like Kane's Wrath was EALA's attempt to bring back a lot of stuff from the earlier games, especially the Tiberian Sun era, with the Steel Talons and Legion, to try and do as much as they could within that engine and within the restraints of an expansion pack. But unfortunately, never got to pay off any of those storylines. And Cabal Core says, aw, thanks. Michael Grodel says, oh, wait, here he is. In the flesh and the wires. All right, we got an hour, boys. Do you think we can beat this in an hour? Probably not, but we'll see what we can do. I'd love to hang with you guys, but I do have a prior commitment with my girlfriend at around 1 p.m., so around 12:30 I have to end so I can get ready. But we'll see if we can beat this. I'd like to beat this, and then the next stream will be the Vega missions, and then it might have to be the stream after that for the Hammerfest missions.
Tratos is being held in a hospital prison facility within this sector. Avoid detection and rescue Tratos from the facility. Once he is out, a transport will be sent in to evacuate him. Once Tratos is clear, destroy all non-forces in the area to prevent further experimentation.
Nothing quite tickles my nostalgia core more than this version of Ava saying destroy all Nod forces in the area. In my opinion, the best Ava voice of all the games, and certainly my personal favorite.
Establishing battery control. Stand by.
The medical facility is located to the west. We must get Tratos out of that facility. But try to be subtle. If we're detected, he's as good as dead.
Okay, something that doesn't get enough credit, I think, is sound effects. The sound effects for the railguns, perfect. All right, 6. Sludge 1 and 2 says, I think Tiberium can go on without Kane if you give a satisfying return of Cabal. Absolutely. I 100% agree with that, Sludge. Or Gluesman says, my favorite sci-fi are Doctor Who, Stargate, Babylon 5, For All Mankind, Andy Weir's The Martian, Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri, and the Mars Trilogy by Kim Stanley Robinson. All solid choices. I need to check a lot of those out. The only one that I am a fan of and have actually like delved deep into is Doctor Who. Massive fan of that, especially 11th Doctor's run. Matt Smith is my favorite Doctor. Capaldi's great too. Capaldi's probably my second favorite Doctor. He's incredible.
Already there.
All right.
Already there.
All right. I know there's a tick tank you can get. Whoop. But nope. I don't care for the tick tank, honestly, because it's already half damaged. So instead, I'm going to pick up the... Gotta be careful with friendly fire with the Ghost Stalker. I'm going to pick up the Nod Buggy instead. Go, 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 go. No, 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 no. Don't take it, don't take it, don't take it. No! Okay, you know, we're going back. I want the buggy.
What do you want?
What?
Give me an order.
Yes, you got it.
Yeah? Hit it.
Stay low.
Need a ride?
What do you want? This is too easy.
Need a ride?
What do you want? Stay low.
There we go. I love that a lot of the GDI missions let you control the mutants because they're more friendly with them. I think there's only like a mutant hijacker mission for Nod where you get to control them. I think there might be... it's been a while since I played the Nod campaign. I know there's a few other ones where you get mutant support because they trick them. I know that Westwood had attempted or had said that they were going to make the Forgotten a full faction, so that really saddens me that we never got that version of the game. That would have made my favorite game even better. Michael Grotto, what would you say is your favorite unit in Red Alert 1? Ooh, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. I love a lot of the units in Red Alert 1. It might be either the cruiser, because of its long-range destructive power is just amazing, or it might be the light tank, just because I think that's the light tank. If you swarm the enemy, it doesn't matter it has low armor because it's cheap and you can keep making them. Cool. We got a Tiberian Fiend on our side. I love that. The music. I think this is the track Mutants that's playing right now, which is Aussie's favorite track in the entire soundtrack. Sludge says, the first season of Capaldi is probably peak Doctor Who for me. Yeah, Capaldi's tremendously underrated. I actually really liked Capaldi's second season. He got a little goofier and a little more fun, but was still very serious. I felt like that was a fun balance. But I've been going back and watching Capaldi's first season, and I'm surprised, like, why did I ever think this was mid? Like, this was some good stuff in here. Like, the Dalek episode, Mummy on the Orient Express is a fantastic episode. I think that's one of the best Doctor Who episodes, full stop. I think Capaldi is already starting to get his due, but I think as time goes on, the community is only going to get more positive on Capaldi. Xavier CJ says, I love this Ava as well. Very robotic / computerized and complements the futuristic vibe of the game. Though I also love Nave's Ava in Tiberian Wars for how badass and bassy he sounded on my old speakers. Yes. That one definitely sounds cool. It can't compete with Tib Sun's Cabal, but Legion on CNC3, or not Legion, because technically it's not Legion. It's a not Ava. In CNC3 does sound very cool. I do like his voice. I wonder who the voice actor was for that. He's got a really cool voice. Sludge 1 and 2. I failed the mutant mission so many times because of the ghost stock. Yeah, no, fair. Nice. It's interesting how some of these civilian buildings are like red colored, which makes me wonder what is the in-universe reason for that. Yeah, what are some of you guys' favorite sci-fi stuff? As I mentioned, Star Wars is a huge one for me. I've read a lot of the books, like the Thrawn trilogy and the Bane trilogy and Darth Plagueis, so I really love that universe. I'm trying to think of other stuff that I do for sci-fi. I'm generally more of... Oh, what? Dang it. Speak of the devil. Sludge called it. Oh, God. Oh, that hasn't happened in years. Oh, my gosh. We're gonna keep you out of this, Ghost Stalker, until we solve this. Warhawk Rambo, welcome back. You were on the first stream. I hope it's a better time zone for you this time. Trying my best here. Warhawk Rambo asks, glad to be here. By the way, are you a Terminator fan? Yes, I'm a huge Terminator fan. I love the Terminator franchise, especially the first two. Like, the first two are my favorite. I think the first Terminator is honestly my favorite one of the whole bunch, even though Terminator 2 is probably objectively the best one. Just because I love the atmosphere. The atmosphere of the first Terminator, especially all like the flashback scenes of the future, just feel very Tiberian Sun, because I think we all know Tiberian Sun is still very much influenced by Terminator in a lot of ways, especially Firestorm. And I love the atmosphere of the first Terminator. Almost Human says, I still have this Ava incoming transmission for notification on my phone. Oh my gosh, same Almost Human. Everyone else around me is like, what is that? Because nobody remembers this franchise or has any idea what it is. But, like, yes, that is my notification sound on my phone, too. That's so funny. For a while, Aussie had Cabal's incoming transmission as his, but that freaked out a lot of people, so we had to change it, because without context, it sounds absolutely sinister. Alright, back to the chat. Michael Grodel says, man, the Tib Sun nod logo is so freaking cool. It is. I mean, the GDI logo doesn't get any better than the Tiberian Sun version, in my opinion, too. It just doesn't. Go ask the Template Institute, they'll agree with me. Classic Player 5 says, I haven't noticed anything further in the CNC franchise implementing the mechanics of variability of walkthrough. Walkthrough of additional missions can make bonuses for the main one. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Could you explain that further? Let's get over here. I think I remember correctly, we can break through the wall if we destroy the ammo crates. Or not. Yes! Let's see what we can do. Need to play this carefully. Whoop. And heal in the Tiberium. Thank you, Cyborg. Gosh, the music in this game is so freaking good. Sludge102 says, I used to have Ava and StarCraft Adjutant incoming transmission as my phone tone, but as I still play those games, it gets to me if I'm messaged while playing. So now I have the Gen 1 Pokemon item pickup. Very nice. Good to see a good Nintendo fan here. Warhawk Rambo says, you familiar with Timeline 191? It is an alternate history book series I'm adapting into a Darkest Hour mod. No, I have not. What's that about? I love time travel stuff. Alright, how am I supposed to... Oh. Shoot. Oh, that works. I forgot how devastating that is. Alright, I forgot how I got past this part. Can we get through here? Yes, we can. Let's see what we can do. Alright. I'm going to see if I can rush that. Is it low on power? Oh, no, it's not. Alright, awesome. Where's my objective? Rescue Travis from the prison. Okay. Alright, I'm going to have you heal in Tiberium. The interesting thing is, if you play this mission without destroying the radar array in the last mission, this bridge will actually be fixed, and they'll see us coming, and they'll blow up this bridge. So you have to go all the way around, and there's a huge Nod base over here. It's a huge pain. Sludge102, do you mean Hearts of Iron Darkest Hour? Speaking of games that stole months of my life. I have not gotten into Hearts of Iron yet. I've seen a lot of my favorite history YouTubers playing that game. I really should give that a shot. Classic Player 5 says, for example, you are currently on a mission to rescue Trados, but before that you were on a mission to destroy the radar, and the bridge to the base where he is being held is intact. Because of this, you can immediately rescue Trados, but if you skip the additional mission, you would have to go across the bridge across. Oh, okay, yeah, okay, what I just explained. Okay. Sorry about that, I didn't understand that at first. Alright, let's give this a go. What time is it? Oh, we still got another hour. I still got time. Super fun hanging out with you guys, by the way. Thank you for being here. I hope to have the Commandos game out soon, so... Sorry, the Commandos video out soon. And then the Red Alert 2 video script is done. And I've also recorded everything, so I just need to get B-roll footage for that. So hopefully both the Commandos and the Red Alert 2 video should be out. I hope by the end of this month, but, you know, fingers crossed, life is rough, so we'll see what happens. Alright, I'm going to concentrate. I probably won't be able to look at the...
Give me an order.
little look at the chat right now because I'm going to be focusing. Alright,
Give me an order.
here we go.
I only need one shot. Good as done.
Oh. No, don't kill her. There you go.
Right between the eyes. What?
Here we go. Ah, click. Oh,
Already there. Stay up.
gosh, Cabal's voice is so freaking cool.
Give me an order. Okay. Stay up. What do you want?
Gosh, the music is so freaking cool, guys. Why did we stop being cool? Why did games stop being this cool? You know? When did we just give up on atmosphere?
I only need one shot. Stay up. Okay. Already there. Already there. Good as done. What? Stay up.
No.
What do you want? Okay.
Oh, does it have to be Umagon?
What do you want? Already
I
there.
keep forgetting. They don't tell you this, by the way. Oh,
Already there.
Construction.
let's go. And now for Travis's voice lines, which I think are iconic.
We must get Travis to the transport. Stay low. Already there. Stay low. Give me an order. Give me an order.
I remember as a kid just trying to listen to every single one of his voice lines and see if I could determine if it was a clue to the future of the franchise.
What do you want?
Like, what? Like, green becomes brown, I always thought was like a future prophecy that someday Tiberian would be gone from the Earth. But, and then this line. Yeah, arrows from the sky. I always thought that was a reference to the Skrin invasion, especially in CNC3 when all the drone ships split apart and go down into the atmosphere. I always thought that looked like arrows from the sky. Obviously, it was two different teams that created it, but I don't know. I'd like to think that the EALO team was trying to create some sort of parody. Here we go.
Establishing battlefield control. Stand by.
And there we go. And our mutants are gone, and immediately this thing turns on us. Or does it? Are we just... Yeah, okay. And we're back, boys.
Sir, got it. Unit reporting. Sir, orders received.
Okie dokie. Sludge102 says, well, have a wonderful nostalgia trip. I should have paid more attention to the time. Curse you, time zones. It's 4:38. I really appreciate you being here, Sludge, but yeah, get some sleep. I'm sorry that the time zones are so wonky. Have a good one. Classic Player 5 says, in my opinion, it's sad that Tiberian Sun wasn't polished. For example, the ammo crates in the base that you blew up at the start were supposed to destroy the barracks. Oh, interesting. How do you know all this? Sky Viper says, save Trados, and then everyone's favorite GDI strategy, mass Titan spam. Hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yes, sir.
Classic Player 5 says, and later in the campaigns, there were moments where the boxes were supposed to blow up important structures. Yeah, from what I gather, this game was really rushed, and EA was trying to get it out by a certain deadline. I mean, I still love this game and it's amazing, but I always think back to like what this game could have been if they had had the time to make the Forgotten a full faction. If in the Firestorm campaign they had been able to make Cabal a full faction like they had always planned. It's just what ifs, what ifs, what ifs. All right, let's put you over here.
Yes, sir.
Xavier CJ says the music really fits the atmosphere of the game. Gloomy, melancholy, fitting for an alien-like world like this one. Man, Frank and Jared did a superb job here. They really did.
Yes, sir.
Reinforcements have arrived.
Oh, they have. Yay, Titans.
Unit ready.
Let's go.
On my way.
Construction complete.
Classic Player 5 says, will there be more streams for the Nod campaign? I want to.
New construction options.
I want to do more video essays on Tiberian Sun as a whole, so all of this is also has the side benefit of giving me B-roll footage for the cutscenes and the gameplay. And I definitely want to cover the Nod campaign, if not for a future Nod video on Tiberian Sun, but definitely for my series on the Brotherhood of Nod's beliefs in the various different eras, because Nod's beliefs in the Tiberian Sun era are probably the most fascinating to me. They're not as easy to understand or as relatable as their beliefs in the CNC3 era, in my opinion, but they're absolutely fascinating. And I feel like GDI and Nod are like the two extremes of... Oh, they died immediately.
Reinforcements have arrived.
Nice. But yeah, I feel like in the Tiberian Sun era, when it's this close to the apocalypse, this close to the end of humanity, GDI and Nod sort of represent the extremes of the human response to hopelessness. You have two reactions. With GDI, they kind of have this hope that they can still get rid of Tiberium and still get back to the way things were. Even though they don't have a lot of technology that can really justify that, they're still saying, no, the alternative of succumbing to Tiberium is worse. We're going to stand on our principles. Humanity is humanity. Whereas Nod is sort of like, hey, see how horrible Tiberium is? Well, that's actually a good thing, and you should like it, because Kane's going to have this project called Divination that's going to turn humans into a higher form of being that can actually thrive in this new Tiberium world. It's all part of the plan of evolution. Everything's going to be okay. Don't worry about it. And I feel like it's two very different but very human responses to a hopeless situation, where you can either give in to despair like Nod and become very self-destructive, or you can be like GDI and give in to hope, but that's also really hard because oftentimes there isn't a lot of evidence for that hope besides your principle of not wanting to give in to despair. I don't know, maybe I'm overreading this, but I always thought that was really interesting. And I don't blame a lot of Nod people for joining, because yeah, it is really bad in the Tiberian Sun era. Tiberium, by the time you get to the Firestorm era, is only a year away from making the atmosphere completely uninhabitable for humans. And when you see somebody like Kane, who is clearly immortal, who has been living for decades, doesn't look any older, has survived things like an ion cannon strike, I don't blame a lot of people in that hopeless situation for being like, you know what, maybe Kane knows what he's talking about. GDI is full of, garbage because they don't even have any scientific breakthroughs in stopping Tiberium, but they're still committed to removing it. I just thought that was really fascinating. I feel like the average Nod recruit is more understandable than you would think at first blush in this era. Okay. Org Guzman says, I was for 12 days in Korea and 1 day in Dubai back in May. Oh, cool. A lot of traveling. I haven't done a lot of traveling in a while. Michael Grodel says, realistically, if you're in the Tipster universe, which side would you support? My heart says GDI. Realistically, if I was in that hopeless of a situation, like I said, I might end up joining Nod. I really don't know what I would end up choosing. It's kind of interesting. I don't know. I would hope that I would have the integrity to choose GDI and have the hope and not follow basically a cultic figure and be self-destructive to my own planet in order to hopefully save myself. But I don't know. I hope I would pick GDI. I know that's not really an answer, but I would hope that I would pick GDI.
Unit lost.
Alright, I need to put defenses over here. What do we got here? Classic Player 5. You don't need a PhD to figure out that a bunch of crates that explode shouldn't explode like an advertising sign, but barrels of RA1. Yeah. Orglusman says, do you know the FPS game Spec Ops The Line Snowman? I am very much aware of it. I remember when that was causing cultural waves when it first came out. I've never played it. What are your thoughts on it, Orglusman?
New construction options. Building.
Classic Player 5. As a result, in RA2, these same crates explode as much as they should. Yep. Xavier CJ says, Tiberium harvesting was created by Nod, which was adapted by GDI later. Yeah.
Building.
I remembered you mentioning that this universe is unique in regards to how valuable Tiberium is as a resource, though harmful. Yeah, no, I love the idea that the same thing that's killing us and destroying our planet is also the same thing that's fueling us and allowing us to continue to wage war with the same budgets we had before the apocalypse. I always thought that was fascinating. And then I think that raises a lot of questions about GDI as well. It's like, okay, you're against Tiberium, but you still use it to fuel your armies. I personally don't think that's that hypocritical. We're in a post-apocalyptic situation. I think desperate times call for desperate measures, but I think it would definitely give Nod recruits pause to be like, well, is GDI any better? But yeah, I just like the idea that the world is dying, but we still have full armies and full militaries fighting each other instead of marauders fighting over the ash heap, because in this unique world, the Scourge is also the resource. Sky Viper says, fortunately, GDI finds Earth's savings grace by developing the sonic technology from the crystals. Yes, they eventually do. I love how that's foreshadowed with the disruptor crystals that were stolen from the Hammerfest base and have to be recovered later on, and then later is expounded upon in CNC3. GDI eventually does. Their hope does pay off. But in the Tiberian Sun era, it almost looks like blind hope. So, oh, we have the helipad now. I think we just have Orca fighters now, but I definitely need more money. Ah, crap. Xavier CJ says, allowing funds for both factions to develop technologically militaristic, etc., instead of rustic scavenger-esque. Yes, exactly. That's what I love about this universe. Especially the Tiberian Sun era. Alright, let's see if we can... Well, we can build that far. Let me save.
Construction complete.
Michael Grodel. I personally support GDI for Tib Dawn and Tib Sun, but in Tim Wars I support Nod because they've got the rockets. Yeah. Nod has a lot more, I think, relatable, at least for the rank and file grunt, has a lot more relatable reasons for being able to join in the Tib Wars era. Because a lot of their rhetoric in Tiberian Sun is very about evolution, about humanity surviving, very religious undertones. Whereas in CNC3, it feels more like a socioeconomic pitch. Nod has kind of changed their tack to be like, oh, it's not about Tiberium, because by this point, GDI has gotten a lot of Tiberium under control. Yes, the red zones are really bad. Yes, yellow zones are not fun to live in. But we have blue zones now. They've proven that they can push Tiberium back. Tiberium, in my opinion, in CNC3 is not as much of an existential threat anymore. And I think because of that, the idea of divination is no longer
New construction options.
an idea that holds as much allure in this universe. So Nod has kind of changed its tack to instead be like, hey, GDI doesn't treat you well. All they care about is the blue zones. But go with Nod, we're the champion of the yellow zones. And that, to me, makes a lot of sense. Because if you're in a war-torn yellow zone and you might die of Tiberian poisoning, I think it makes a lot of sense that you would be sort of willing to join Nod for reasons that have nothing to do yeah, for reasons that have nothing to do with Nod's religious beliefs or having devotion to Cain. Like, I can see a regular yellow zone citizen just being like, you know what? Why shouldn't I fight for Nod? They'll at least get me food on the table for my family. Sky Viper says, the real question is, who would you rather fight a Skrin invasion as? GDI or Nod? Sign me up for the Mammoth Tanker with a Railgun Driver. Yeah. No, I would definitely, as soon as the alien invasion hits, like, even if I were fighting for Nod in, like, a low-level area, I would immediately, like, run to the nearest blue zone or yellow zone GDI base and be like, sign me up. Because, let's face it, GDI have the Sonic. GDI was much better equipped to fight the Skrin than Nod ever was. Most of Nod's missions against the Skrin are like, hey, we're going to take advantage of a conflict, go in there and steal certain things or frame GDI for something. They're not actually fighting the Skrin. GDI are the ones that push back the Skrin. If it weren't for GDI, the Skrin take over, hands down. GDI was the savior of humanity against the Skrin in that conflict, and Nod would not have been able to take them on. In fact, any alliance GDI had with Nod was primarily in the Australian red zone, and they turned on them anyway. Like, GDI at large was not aligning with Nod. GDI didn't need Nod to fight the Skrin. They basically took on the Skrin by themselves. And, yeah, I would absolutely, if the Skrin invade, I'm joining GDI because they actually have the weaponry, the infrastructure, and the strategy to beat them. Classic Player 5. In one Nod operation, GDI generally destroys the village like the Soviets in RA1. I'm not sure which mission you're talking about, so let me know. A lot of the stuff, there's a lot of missions in RA1 and in Tiberian Dawn. A lot of missions, especially compared to the later CNC, so a lot of them tend to run together, and little details like that I tend to forget if I'm not paying attention. Let's get one more. Or Glusman, I think Spec Ops The Lion was a very good rebuke of gung-ho, jingoistic FPS culture of the time that Spec Ops was released in. Yeah, that's what everyone tells me. I do appreciate that there were different voices in there. COD and a lot of other franchises did tend to be very jingoistic, although I would say the Modern Warfare trilogy, especially 2 and 3, did have some decent criticisms of first world kind of wars and that sort of thing. So, you know, I don't think Spec Ops The Line was the only one making that point, but it definitely made it in the most brash and in your face and you can't ignore me sort of way. I don't know if I'd enjoy playing that game, which is basically, you know, War Crimes the simulator. But, you know, I respect its place in culture and the effect it had, I suppose. Classic Player 5 says, Covert Operations Mission Deceit. I will have to check that out later. Let's make 4 more Harvesters. Michael Grotto, I will say Grunyev Revolution was a really good mission showing how horrible the Soviets were in Red Alert 1. Yes, yes. I covered that in my Red Alert 1 video, which was actually not a mission I was familiar with because I think it came from the Retaliation expansion pack, and I grew up only playing the Aftermath expansion pack, so I didn't remember playing that mission as a kid. One of the commenters pointed out that, and when I played it, I was, yeah, just like you, Michael, I was sort of like, whoa. I liked that, you know, Westwood didn't pull any punches. It was like, this is basically the Soviet Stalinist regime from our actual world. We're going to have them act like that. I always thought that was super cool. And I think that's what makes it unique. Because by the time you get to Red Alert 2, the Soviets get a little more cartoony. It's a little more kind of the Khrushchev... I can't remember all the Soviet prime ministers, but it's sort of the Khrushchev era of the Soviet Union, which is not... You know, still not great, but not nearly as, like, brutal as the Stalinist version of the Soviets. So it was always very interesting to me that like Red Alert 2, the Soviets weren't quite as bad, but also that kind of makes sense given the time period of what version of the Soviet Union that would have been historically. It was still a super fun game, but I love how brutal they portray the Soviets in the first one. Go Better, welcome to the chat, says, wouldn't a COD game in a CNC setting be cool? Yes, it would. Any FPS would be cool. I know they had Renegade, which I did play through recently in its entirety. I'm probably going to do a video on that at some point. It was fine. It was a good first effort. I enjoyed it somewhat. Tiberium, though, was the FPS that I really wish they had made. I feel like that would have been so much fun. Let's build more defenses and then build the Titans.
Construction complete. Building.
Whew.
Construction complete. Building.
Chase Baker, welcome to the chat. Chase Baker says, I don't really know why, but with Tiberian Sun and Tempest Rising, I build massive bases, practically cities unto themselves as they overtake whole sections of the minimap with pavement gray. I get that.
Construction complete.
The base building in this game is very satisfying.
Building. Construction complete. Building. Construction complete. Building. Construction complete.
Okay, we'll finish these and then we'll build more Titans. Michael Grodel says, I also think that Personal War and Red Alert Allied Retaliation campaign is really good at showing the Soviets at their worst. Oh, they can't reach them. I forgot that the Tic Tacs can outrange my defenses too.
Cannot deploy unit. On hold.
Orders. I'm on it. Sir?
Unit lost. Unit lost. Building.
Sorry, let me get back to Michael Grodel's comment. Really good at showing the Soviets at their worst as you're literally just controlling Stavros as a village is destroyed. Oh, I remember that mission. Yeah, that was brutal. And it gives you more background for why Stavros is so pissed off in the original Allied campaign about the destruction of Greece.
Building.
And, you know, when he goes and kills Stalin personally at the end of the campaign and keeps it a secret. I know that's technically wrong. It robs other people of their sense of justice and closure by not having him have like a formal execution. But on a personal human level, I really can't blame him for doing that. It's I feel like given that situation, I would probably do the same. I mean, if you were a Jewish person and you came across the Fuhrer in his bunker and you had a chance to kill him personally, like, would you not do that too? Like, I definitely would, you know. It's yeah, humans are complicated. What do we have? Oh, we do have orcas. Okay, maybe we'll build a few for fun, even though they're kind of useless. Orca bombers are where it's at in this game. Let's see. Or Glusman. Snowman, do you think that Nod was influenced by Cobra from G.I. Joe? That's an interesting question. I'm not super familiar with G.I. Joe. I was more of a Rescue Heroes man myself growing up. But maybe. Do you see any influences there? I'm not sure I see any. I definitely see influences. Actually, you know, Tib Dawn especially, I can kind of see it. I can kind of see it with Tib Dawn version of Nod, now that you mention it. Warhawk Rambo, Dr. Pepper Blackberry, and CNC action good combo. I don't know what that means. Classic Player 5, and not to touch the inhabitants until they themselves take up arms. I don't know what that means. Hey, whoa, guys, just take the Tiberium here, okay? You have plenty of money.
Waiting orders. Yes, sir.
All right. Time for the Titan spam. I'm going to get 5 more Titans, and then we're just going to go in. It's not like they have anything that can stop my Titans. Michael Grodel. Also, shout out to Von Essling for having almost all of Germany taken by the Soviets, but having a cool head. Yeah, that's another good point. Like, I've mentioned this before, but the desperation in the Allied campaign of, like, basically them losing Europe and losing the war for most of it, I really appreciate. Okay, well, we're gonna have to go get you. Maybe that's what we'll use our Orca fighters for. Take out these tick tanks when they get too close or too far away. Yeah, von Essling does keep a cool head despite Germany being taken. Stavros definitely seems like a more passionate man. Very emotional. Von Essling was cool. I like Von Essling a lot. He's probably one of my favorite commanders in all of the CNC series. I think he's very underrated. I love his accent. I love the idea of, in this alternate World War II, Germany is a major power for the Allies. I think that's such a cool what if. I did mention there was that comment he made about as a race, which most of my commenters assured me is probably innocent and referring to, like, the human race. But even so, I feel like that adds a level of grayness to him as well. I just really think he's a really cool character. And especially after Kane and General Shepard in the first one, it would have been tempting to have, like, equally kind of, like, over-the-top heroes and villains, but instead they kind of made them very grounded, which I really appreciate. All right, let's go get them. We only have a half an hour left before I have to go be with my girl, so let's make this count. Let's go this way. Alexander Morgan, welcome to the chat. He says, Rescue Heroes was the best. Yes, it was. Whenever I have to explain that to people, what Rescue Heroes is, I basically tell them, okay, think of a search and rescue or emergency services, but with the funding of the U.S. military. That's basically what the Rescue Heroes are. If you put the entire budget of the U.S. military entirely to, like, saving people from natural disasters and other things like that, that's what you would get. You would get the Rescue Heroes. All right. Let's go get them, boys. Also, you guys a fan of war movies? Drop some of your favorite war movies in the chat. I'm curious to see what you guys got. I think this is a backdoor way in, if I remember correctly. Let's get up here. What can you do against my Titan spam? Nothing. Nothing. But we probably should get some Wolverines up here. Let's keep it moving. We're reaching the end of our time. So if you guys have any questions for me about the future of the channel or suggestions for future videos, really anything, any questions at all, feel free to drop it in the chat now. Okay. Let's go. Back door. And they still defended it. Also, after watching Aliens 2, or sorry, Aliens, it's very clear where the Tic Tank got its inspiration from. Yep, they're out of power. That means SAM sites are offline. I forgot that the mini lasers are self-powering, so it doesn't matter if the power is out. Are you guys gonna keep fighting? What is your... Yeah, Orca fighters are useless. And they always move around instead of releasing all of their rockets, which would be fine if they actually help them dodge SAM site attacks like it does in the cutscenes, but it doesn't actually do that. Whoa, okay, I'm sorry guys. It looks like you did put a bunch of stuff in the chat, and my chat froze, so I didn't see a lot of that. I'm very sorry. I had to reload it. Let's see if I can find where we left off. Here we go. The Vidit of Light. Nice name. Hail, Man of Snow. I may need to get some sleep here, but will probably leave the stream up while I pass out. All the best and vanquish the first murderer. Thank you very much. I love that we're calling Kane that now. That's so cool. So cool. Appreciate you having you here. I'm going to end soon anyway, so yeah, by all means, get some sleep. Warhawk Rambo says, Patton. Okay, yeah, I still haven't seen Patton. I need to go watch that. My dad has seen it, but I haven't. I heard that's good. Bit of Light says Hacksaw Ridge. Very good one. Very good one. Love that one. Bit of Light, Almost Human says Black Hawk Down. Yes, that's a good one. I haven't seen that one forever. I need to rewatch that one because I don't remember much from it. That's the D-Train's like favorite war movie. Michael Grodel says, always been a big fan of the Guns of Navarone. Nice, nice. Haven't seen that one. Jason Dilly says, I like Fury. Yeah, I've heard good things about that. The D-Train also tells me I should watch that one. Ugh. Alexander Morgan, they would send out an AC-130 just to save a cat. Hyperbolizing, but not far off. What is that in reference to? Almost Me says, also not movie, but the Band of Brothers. Yes, I have seen Band of Brothers. That one's great. I love that one.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Band of Brothers is great. A lot of World War II ones. Vidit of Light says, I'm a Patton fan too. Inspired me as a kid.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Good to hear that.
On my way. On my way. Orders received.
Let's see. A lot of World War II fans here, I see. Michael Grodel, what are the best unit? Oh, Jason Dilly said Pacific was a good show as well. Yeah, my family started to watch that. They couldn't really get into it, and I think the D-Train has made this comment before, but I think the fact that it wasn't following just one unit, it was a little confusing at first, kind of put people off, but that was kind of the nature of it, because unlike the European theater, you really couldn't count on one unit to make it entirely through all theaters of the war. The Pacific was brutal as a theater. Michael Grodel, what's the best unit voice lines of Alert 1, and why is it the Shock Trooper? You're 100% right. Extra crispy. Burn, baby, burn. Shocking. I love that. My older sister absolutely adored the Shock Trooper lines when she played that. Red Alert was her favorite. I also just love the engineers being overly masculine and gruff. Engineering. Affirmative. Or Glusman says, I suggest that if you try to look at CNC generals, that you also look to Active War Direct Action in comparison to it after it was a spiritual successor for it. I will definitely take a look. You piqued my interest. Warhack Rambo. Silos needed. No. What you mean is not enough Titans. Warhawk Rambo says, remember CNC's most useless units video from Planet CNC? I don't, actually. I'm going to have to look that up. Classic Player 5 says, Red Alert 2 Chrono Defense. Objective is to protect the battle lab from attacks by allies. The allies placed a propaganda truck near the village so that their locals would attack the player's base. Yes, I do remember that. That was an interesting mission. The player is not asked to kill the residents and destroy the village, but is given a bonus for destroying the propaganda truck and is allowed to kill those civilians who were going to. Interesting, yeah. Might do a deep dive into war crimes in the CNC universe at some point. Depends on how much that would actually be something I'd be willing to put a lot of time into. Or Guzman says, I love Kelly Heroes. Classic Player 5 says, players base with pistols, neutral civilians, and units do not attack. Interesting. Alexander Morgan says, it was referencing Rescue Heroes. Haha. Oh, let me go back up. They would send out an AC-130 to save. Okay, I get it now. They really would. They really would. Okay. Almost Human says, of the new movies, The Covenant. Oh, I've heard about that. Was that the one with Jake Gyllenhaal? I wanted to see that. I never got around to. Is that any good? The Vindictive Light. Have you ever played Red Alert, A Path Beyond, or Apocalypse Rising? Free Renegade mods, send them in Red Alert 1 2. I have not. I've seen a lot of video of gameplay of it. I have not checked it out personally for myself, though. What time is it? 12:13? Good. We got about 15 minutes to mop up and answer questions before I have to go get ready. Vindictive Light. Also watch CNC's most used unit. It's hilarious. I definitely will now. Or Guzman, A Bridge Too Far and The Longest Day are also good war movies. Interesting. Yeah, A Bridge Too Far, I really want to see that one. That's about Operation Market Garden, right? I really want to watch that one. That's been on my list for a little while. I don't know what The Longest Day is. As far as my favorite war movies, I gotta say Gettysburg is up there at the top. I'm not usually a huge Civil War buff, but Gettysburg is my jam. I love that movie. I could watch it over and over again. I have most of it memorized. Fantastic movie. I think it's because, for me, the things that I like about war movies is the strategy, and Gettysburg is very much about like getting in the heads of the generals, what they were thinking, why they chose to do certain moves, and that sort of thing. And that is always... I mean, you know, I'm an RTS fan. Does it surprise you that my favorite part of war movies is the strategy? I don't think I've ever actually explored this far before. Guzman says, The Longest Day is a 60s D-Day movie. Oh, interesting. I'll have to check that out. Almost Human says, yes, The Covenant is a Gyllenhaal movie. Yeah. My first exposure to Jake Gyllenhaal was in October Sky, if anybody of you remembers that movie. A lot of people have that as a memory as like a movie that their teacher would just throw on in science class if they had a slow day. I watched that just for fun as a kid because I always loved space. And still to this day is like one of my absolute favorite movies. I mean, come on. It's got Brian Cox and it's got Jake Gyllenhaal. I mean, what's not to like? Michael Grotto, getting rid of silos was one of the greatest ideas of any RA2 developers ever had. Yes, I always forget that RA2 decided to ditch the silos. I was a little disappointed when CNC3 brought them back. They're not nearly as invasive. I feel like the refineries can carry a lot more before needing silos. But it is interesting that CNC3 decided to bring them back for some reason. Also fixing the Harvester's AI, Red Alert 1 Harvesters don't work. No, the Harvesters in the early games didn't really work well. I don't really have much trouble with them working in Tib's Sun. Okay. Okay. Alright, let's take this out. I'm just curious if there's anything in this area that I've never seen before, because there's still secrets with this game that I discover when I play this game again. I don't know if that says more about how deep and how many things they're put into this game, or if that has to do with how I play this game the same way every dang time. Nope, not enough Titans. Oh, man. Yeah, I definitely want to cover other games other than Command and Conquer. I still have a lot of videos I want to do on Command and Conquer, so that's never really ever going to go away because this is still probably my favorite gaming series of all time. But eventually I want to cover other games at some point. And hopefully if the Command and Conquer videos keep doing well, if I slide in a video essay about a different game that nobody cares about every now and again, that won't kill the channel. Oh, wow, didn't know you guys were here.
Unit ready.
Infantry reporting. Sir? Unit ready. You got it. Waiting orders. Orders. I'm on it. Infantry reporting. I'm on it. Sir? No problem. Infantry reporting. I'm on it. Unit ready. Yes, sir. Unit ready. Yes, sir. Sir? No problem. Sir? Waiting orders.
Also being able to right-click on the map to go wherever you want while still selecting your units. That was something I think Generals added. I could be wrong, that might have been an earlier edition, but
Yes, sir.
really miss that sometimes in the earlier games. Or Glusman, Snowman, did you see the alternate history hub video on the lore of the Red Alert series? Wait, alternate history hub did a video on the Red Alert series? Did I see that? I feel like I may have seen that. I need to look that back. I used to be a huge alternate history hub guy, and then I kind of fell off for some reason. I can't remember why. I still watch Pointless Hub every now and again. Michael Grodel, that's a classic, one of my favorite alternate history hub videos. I need to recheck that out. I might go back to watch it and then find out, like, oh yeah, I definitely have seen that. I just don't remember. Or it may be brand new for me. We'll see.
Sir? Sir?
Yeah, I just love that everybody still cares about this franchise and there's still channels dedicated to doing lore videos and discussion videos on Command and Conquer because, yeah, it's a very special series and I think it deserves to be remembered. It really made its mark both in story and in gameplay and atmosphere.
Mission accomplished.
Woo! Yeah. Oh, this cutscene. Yeah, Alternate History Hub is great. These days, I follow more like straight up history channels, like the Armchair Historian. He's great. Vlogging Through History, VTH. He's great. And then Stakuye's channel, The History of Everything. He's got some great stuff as well. All right, boys, we did it.
He's still out.
As long as he lives long enough to tell us where Vega is, I'll be happy.
Do you love nothing?
I love to win.
Our deal is done, Clint.
What's happening?
No! No! It's enough! A vision!
Pain is the intestines.
Taking out the dam, power plants will neutralize enemy air defenses.
All right, let's do this. Yeah, we're not going to play these missions. I'm just going to start one, and then we'll be good to go. Gosh, I love going further south. I miss when the Command and Conquer games would show you geographically where you were going, where GDI territory was. Like, what's going on in Florida? I want to see what Nod taking over New Orleans. Like, I would love. Man. And GDI has Cuba for some reason in this timeline, which is interesting. Whereas, is that Puerto Rico? I can't remember. I'm terrible, guys, with geography. Okay, let me look at the chat real quick. Michael Girdle says, I'll say one of my favorite moments is when I put out a General's voice line quote online and everyone recites them perfectly accurately. Yeah, I think Generals might be the Command & Conquer game that has broken into the mainstream, at least the gaming mainstream, more than any other Command & Conquer game. And I'm totally cool with that, because I love Generals. Again, at some point I need to do a video essay on Generals, if for no other reason than for my dad, because that's his favorite game in the series. Classic Player 5, The Insane Story of Red Alert, terribly summarized. Gotcha. Or Guzman says, the best alternate history channel is the Alrighty one. He made a series on what if Manchukuo survived. Who's Manchukuo? I don't know that off the top of my head. Yeah, I got that. Classic Player 5. Alright, let's see this.
The large dams that power Vega's base lie in this sector. Destroying them will temporarily drain power from his base.
Oh, Hispaniola. Thank you.
Objective, attack his island facility before he can bring new generators online. The dam can be destroyed by disabling the 2 regulator stations in this sector. GDI air support will be available if we can find a way to contact them and confirm your target.
So this one is a fixed force mission, but I remember still really liking this mission. I think as they give you a lot more support with the air support.
Vega's base is secreted on an island in this sector. Reaching it will be difficult, as there is only one overland access. Your best chances of success lies in the use of amphibious APCs to land on the island and penetrate Vega's defenses. Once on the island, destroy Vega's facility and command center.
Yeah, one thing I really like about this, and I don't know if any of you guys have seen the video. I think they were interviewing a guy who had worked on a developer on Tiberian Sun. I think it was called War Stories. It was a YouTube series on talking to game developers, and he was talking about how, like, the way that you get players to care about the different units and understand how to use them is in the single player campaign. You care about the Wolverine because of the second mission where you have to destroy the SAM sites, where you have the Wolverines that you have to protect because you can't make any more. And similarly, this mission, when you take on Vega's base, that was the mission that made me care about the amphibious APC. I think it's very easy to feel like those are dumb units because they're not nearly as useful as the non-subterranean APC, but this mission was so memorable for me, and they made the amphibious nature of the APC necessary, or borderline necessary, to beating the mission, that it makes you care about that unit. And I miss that in a lot of, like, newer RTS games, where they would take the time to make you, like, just really appreciate a single unit and let it shine in a particular mission. Alright, I'm going to save here and then exit. Here we go.
Battle control offline.
Well, thank you guys all for being here. I really appreciate you guys showing up. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day or night, depending on where you are. Probably in another 2 weeks, we'll do another stream, try to beat the Vega missions, and hopefully get to Hammerfest in the next mission. I won't be on the 2-hour timeline, hopefully. So we'll be able to do better. Or Glusman says, the Alrighty one also did a series of what if the Leveliers won the British Civil War. Ooh, interesting. See you, Snowman. Thank you very much. Yeah, so in 2 weeks, probably we'll do another stream. I hope to have both the Commandos video essay and the Red Alert 2 video essay out by the end of this month, but we will see. I got a lot of stuff going on IRL right now that hopefully will be resolved by the end of this month, or at least early next month, and then everything will be so much better. So much better. I hope you guys are doing well. If you're not doing well, my heart goes out to you, and I hope that things get better soon. Appreciate you being here. See you guys all in a couple of weeks, hopefully. Welcome back, Commanders. Have a good one. Yeah, thanks, Saber CJ. Good to have you here. Thank you, Classic Player 5. Thank you, Marcus. Thank you, Michael Grodel. Thank you, Ora Glusman, and all the others. I really appreciate having you guys here.